Give me a second. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Franklin School Board meeting for May 17th, 2021. The Franklin School Board meeting is being held in the Franklin High School cafeteria, and the time that I'm starting this meeting is 6:11. The meeting is starting 11 minutes late due to a non-public session that the school board was in. I would like to read the following item for public and for the YouTube people. Our community members may attend the meeting in person, or you may email the superintendent questions or comments prior to the meeting at dlagallo@gm.sau18.org. Please include your name with any emails with questions and comments, please. All questions and comments will be read into the minutes. During the meeting, the public may participate by calling the superintendent's phone number at 266-9833 if you prefer not to attend. The public may also view the meeting on our YouTube channel. At this time, we have one item that we must take care of. We need to take a vote on an item that was spoken about in non-public, but we can't take votes in non-public, so we have to wait until we come into a public session to take a vote. Based upon that, I will at this time give the opportunity for any school board member to make a motion on the item discussed in non-public.
I make a motion to accept the hour changes for the special ed secretary, excuse me, from 260 days to 208 days.
Okay, motion's been made by Deb Brown to accept the recommendation of changing the special education secretary down to a 208 school day. That was seconded by Glenn Carter. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, if I could have a roll call vote, please.
Glenn Carter,
Yes.
Susan Hallett-Cook,
Yes.
Deb Brown,
Yes.
Tim Dow,
Yes.
Maureen Obie. Yes. Christy Martin. Yes. Delaney Cormier.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay, at this time, if we could stand for the salute of our flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, next is the meeting posting. Kathy, was the meetings posted as is required?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, for record purposes, Glenn Carter has left our meeting. He is on vacation, and he has gone back to being with his family on vacation. So Glenn Carter at this time at 6:14 has left our meeting. All right, this brings us to agenda item 2. Agenda item 2 is our recognitions. I will turn the first over to Superintendent Legallo for recognitions.
Thank you, Chairman Dow. We have a lot of recognitions tonight. Let's start first. I'd like to invite up Jason Reed. He's our 8th grade social studies teacher, 7th and 8th grade. And we have 3 very special students here tonight and their families to recognize. Some really wonderful news that we were able to share with the City Council as well. I'm going to actually turn it over to Jason and let him introduce the students and why we're celebrating their achievements tonight.
So, at Franklin Middle School, we partook in a contest this year. Is it all right if I pull this down?
You can.
Okay, cool. We partook in a contest called National History Day. And what National History Day is, it's a contest that's been going on for in the current incarnation for the better part of 30 years. And I finally, last year, did it for the first time with 1 or 2 students. This year, did it with a few more students. And what National History Day quite simply is students take a topic that's given to them. This year was about communication and history, different ways people do communicate. And we had students that had a lot of categories to display the knowledge they had about this. And this year we had a student do a documentary We had a student do a performance, a historical play based on something in history, and the third student did what was a museum exhibit, and they created a giant trifold on 3 different topics. One was about propaganda during World War II and how people communicated with that. Another one was communication with satellite technology during the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union. And the third one was actually about the differences teachers have partaken over the past 50, 60 years and how they've changed their approach with communicating with different forms of technology, with all of the changes over the years with students, with other people they work with, and things like that. So we had 1 8th grader and 2 7th graders do it this year, and perhaps slightly surprisingly even to me, yet all the more very impressively, the 3 of them placed not just in the state, but they all placed first in their respective categories, which was first junior category for a performance by one Zoe Nagel. We had the top kid in the whole state do the best documentary, which was Aubrey Bover, and we had our best museum exhibit performance by a child, which was by Savannah Howard. So last 2 kids both being in 7th grade. So I'm extremely proud of them. I think they did a wonderful job, and they now go on to nationals, which take place in Maryland. And nationals is something where they have been having won states, they now have the opportunity to go ahead and, if they were to win nationals, they could qualify for a college scholarship. There is a variety of other prizes that they can win, money prizes, different types of awards and stuff just the same. And nationals, I'm not real familiar with, honestly. I wish them luck, but it's 49 other states, including ours, and some of them much bigger than ours, so I'm sure there'll be many, many participants. But I would be thrilled if they could even, get some recognition by some of these colleges who sometimes take note to some of these kids, and even if they don't win, they say, might not have won, but we know who you are, and we may be interested. And it's worked out for kids in the past, so I'm really happy for them, and I'm really happy to work with 2, maybe 3 of them next year again. So, and I hope to have more students do it just the same. So.
The 2 students can come up front for us.
Okay, you have to take the block. This is Martha thinks of everything. Zoe? And Diana? And?
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere yet, I want to get a picture.
You two stand right with him, Mr. Stay right with him, please.
I just want you guys to know on behalf of the Franklin School Board, you've made our school district and our city proud once again.
You can stand close, you got a mask on.
Accomplishing first place.
Smile!
Smile.
Beautiful. You can tell you're
Accomplishing
smiling.
first place in the state of New Hampshire for our school is outstanding. You all should be very proud of yourself for what you've done. And we as a board appreciate what you've done in the representation that you've represented for the state. So on behalf of the board, again, congratulations and good luck on nationals.
Thank you, parents. Thank you, Mr. Reed.
Thank you, Jason.
Okay, we have some more recognitions.
On last Thursday night, Superintendent Legallo, Principal Charette, and myself had the opportunity to attend the 56th Annual Youth Government Banquet The Lodge of Elks in Franklin here has been sponsoring it that whole time. They put on a tremendous dinner and have been a huge supporter of the youth government. So this year, I'd just like to congratulate and say what a great job they did for the following students. Our mayor, who was also along with Mayor Zink, was Alexis Mango. Our city manager, that was Lily Johnson, who participated with our city manager, Judy Milner. Our city clerk and councilors was Emily Holt, Hannah Fife Huckins, Owen Woods, Angelina Parmley, and Aria LaFlamme. Also, our fire chief, who participated with our, Mike Foss, our fire chief, was Megan Surratt. And our police chief was Alyssa Cornell, who was alongside with Chief Dave Goldstein. They had a tremendous week. They enjoyed themselves. They got to do a lot of experience and different things with our police and fire, and along with our city council and our mayor and city manager. I would also like to show recognition to Presley Adair, who is our Franklin High School teacher, who was instrumental in bringing this forward with Principal Charette. So congratulations to all those students. It was a great city council that they did, meeting that they ran. They did a tremendous job. There was some nice little arguing back and forth intentionally, but it was kind of fun to watch that, sitting back there representing. So I would like to just congratulate those students. I'd like to thank Principal Charette and Presley Adair for taking it another year. We lost last year because of COVID, but Presley and Principal Charette was going to make sure that we got it back this year and had our youth government. So I can remember in high school participating in youth government. I know I just read about how Olivia Zink was also involved in it when she was in school here, and now she's our current mayor. So again, congratulations to all of them, and hopefully, as they said at that meeting, maybe one of these next students will be our mayor or city manager or city council. But a great job was done. I want to congratulate them for what they did.
And we have one more recognition. I'm going to let Ms. Charette share this news.
Danny Sylvester, our athletic director, was recently recognized as a certified master athletic administrator. He's one of only 10 that we currently have in the state with this distinction. He had to complete the following levels first. He had to become a registered athletic administrator and a certified athletic administrator. And he then had to complete 12 courses total and submit a project, as well as gaining points by attending conferences, being CPR certified, and mentoring new ADs. So I'm very, very excited for Danny. This is a wonderful honor for him. He's been working really, really hard with the NHIA. I can't tell you how many new ADs he's mentored over the years, and so I'm so proud of him. He continues to do above and beyond for NHIA and for our students and our faculty. So I asked Dan, I'm like, can I please share about Danny? So yeah.
We did invite Danny, but lo and behold, he's at a game.
He's at a game.
Tonight, so.
Senior game, yeah.
And that's all recognitions I have.
Is there anybody else within the board who has any recognitions that they would like to bring forward this evening? Okay, is there anybody on administration that would like to bring any recognitions forward? Okay, seeing none, I will close that portion of the meeting. Agenda item 3 is public participation. Public participation, you can address the school board with any item that you wish. I ask that you keep this, any comments or participation, to 3 minutes per person. And I don't give any more than 30 minutes to this session, but I also allow at the end of the evening, I have a second public participation. So if you weren't able to speak the first time, rest assured you will have an opportunity at the end of the evening to speak, but I keep this first one to 30 minutes. So is there anybody from the public that would like to address the board? Come right forward, don't be shy. If you want to speak to the board, come right up. You can even just come up forward and we'll move the camera around so they can see you.
I think they're here for prom.
Okay, yeah, for prom, so we're good. You guys will be coming on later. All right, so They are not here to do public participation, they're here for the next thing that's gonna be coming up, so. I have nobody else in here for public participation, we have nobody online. Superintendent Legal, do you have any emails from the public that you'd like to read into the record?
Let me check. So far, we are good.
All right, at this time, I will close the public participation. I will move on to agenda item 4, which is our high school prom committee presentation. I will turn that over to Principal Charette to kind of discuss the prom.
Prom, yep.
Yeah, you're up.
You have a presentation?
Yeah, I sent it to you, Ken, just a few minutes ago.
Do you want me, if I join, to your Zoom?
If you join, you have to shut off everything, and I can make you the,
Host.
host.
Okay, now those are in the prom. Come on forward.
Come on, give me a second to get you all hooked up here, folks.
Anywhere specific, or?
Right there, right where you were before, and
One of the room.
we'll make you a star. Give me a second, I'll get you turned around. You're admitted. Mute and mute. Okay. Mute and mute. You're the host. You're in charge.
You're scaring me here.
It's here, I just.
Perfect, there it is.
Well, we can start by introducing ourselves. My name is RJ Sabosley.
And I am Maya Volatunlich,
We
and
are
we are
the co-presidents of the Prom Committee. We've been working on this for about, a month and a half, somewhere around there. And we think we have a pretty good plan in motion, and we wanted to share it with you guys to see if it's a go.
All right, so obviously because of COVID-19, we have to follow CDC guidelines, which include an outdoor venue for big events barring weather conditions. Masks will be required. We will have plated food that is served to us. It will not be a buffet. And a COVID waiver must be signed before guests enter. So for the mask requirement, everyone will have one warning to wear your mask properly, so covering the nose and the mouth. And if you do not wear it properly after that, you will be asked to leave. Masks will be provided at the entrance where temperatures are being taken, just like at school. Social distancing is required while eating and dancing. The COVID waiver must be signed by the attendee, the guest, and both their parents or guardians prior to prom. And Officer Daniel Poirier and the nurse will be present.
And then I believe next is our food plan, yes.
All right, for food, dinner will be served at a certain time. Because of the amount of people we have attending, both seniors and juniors, we plan on doing meals in waves so we can limit the people who are unmasked at the same time. Chaperones will plate food and serve it to the guests. We're gonna do pre-packaged hot dogs and hamburgers like they do at the school, wrapped in the tinfoil, with pre-packaged chips and pre-packaged drinks. The chaperones, once again, will be preparing and plating the food. Attendees may only eat closer than 6 feet unmasked with the guests they bring. That is in the COVID waiver we have. And if a guest leaves the school grounds, they will not be permitted to re-enter.
So we have two plans that we are looking for in motion. One is our primary plan, which is being outside. This will be here at the field. We will use the SAU parking lot for eating, and if we need to, we can bleed into the student lot. We'll be using the field for any dancing or activities. The teacher lot will be the one used for parking. We'll have the second floor bathrooms for if people need to, and we will be using one of the closest rooms there as a coat check. And if it ends up raining or too cold, which shouldn't happen in June, we're hoping to split the building in half. We'll use the gym for any dancing and the cafeteria for eating, where the first floor bathrooms will be open and the music room will be used for our coat check.
And for date and time, we have June 5th, which will leave plenty of time for the 10 days of quarantine before graduation,
Plus
if
3 days to
anything
stay.
does happen. And for time, we were thinking 6 to 10, because that will provide time for setup and cleanup afterwards.
Does anybody have any questions they need answered? They're more than happy.
Have you
to.
presented any of this to your senior class and junior class?
Yes.
Yes.
We have had meetings with both classes and both have agreed to everything that we
Follow.
put together.
So what do you get for feedback from? How do they feel about this?
They actually had some pretty good responses. They thought that the field was a good idea because it gives room to space out, and food was a good idea. They had hoped for a venue, as did we, but times being what they are, we kind of had to fiddle with things a little bit. But all in all, we had a pretty positive reaction. We were really surprised.
How many chaperones will you have there?
We are looking for between 12 and 15.
If I can just share, they both came and met with me on this proposal. We went through the proposal together. I just want to thank them both for a wonderful job. You did a great job tonight. You were a lot less nervous tonight than you were with me, actually, so nicely done.
It may seem that way, but
You're doing great. You're doing
The
great.
practice run.
So I wholeheartedly support this, this proposal, and sign me up to be a chaperone as well. I'll be there.
I will
Thank
make
you.
sure to add you to our list.
Very impressive.
All right, so Susan Halleck, for our school board member, she was very impressive with the amount of thought that they put into this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody here that would like to ask any questions pertaining to the prom for the school board members? Okay. Going outside, I know Susan spoke.
I do, if
Yeah, go ahead.
you can hear me.
I can.
Just a minute, we just muted you, I'm gonna unmute you. Can you hear me
I
now?
can hear her.
No, I muted us.
Oh,
He's breaking
okay.
us up.
Deb,
Can you hear us now,
me?
Deb?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Go ahead, Deb.
Dan, this question's for Dan. Is there any thought on an outside tent in the field?
It's something to consider, although I'll tell you, trying to find a tent these days is almost near to impossible.
We did look, and
Yeah.
there was most
And they
places
were
were booked out.
You can't find them, they're mostly booked. And I don't believe a tent is necessary. I think the kids will have fun on an open field.
Yep.
And I don't see that as a deal breaker.
Okay,
Did you happen to try to talk to Juice Franklin? They still have a tent, I believe, for first day.
They could check with them, sure.
I can have my decorations head send them out, reach out to them.
Choose Franklin. Thanks, Blaine.
Are there any other questions for the two presenters for the prom? I don't see them, so I'm going to start. I'm going to make the motion that we accept the presentation and we allow the junior senior prom to go forward as is presented tonight on June 5th between the hours of 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. with a minimum of 12 to 15 chaperones to be in attendance. Do I have a
second,
Second by Deb. Do we have any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, if I could have a roll call vote, please.
Susan Hallett Cook,
yes.
Deb Brown,
Yes,
Tim Dow,
Yes.
Maureen Opie. Yes. Christy Martin. Yes. And Delaney Courier.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously. Congratulations and enjoy your junior senior prom.
Thank you very much.
Good job, guys.
Nice job, you guys.
Thank you very
You did great.
Thank you.
All right, so there's one thing the juniors and seniors are going to be happy that's off their plate. All right, we're going to move on to agenda item 5. Agenda item 5 is public input on ESSA, which is your elementary and secondary school emergency relief funds priority. As most of you are aware, we've received some allocations of money. There's been the CARES Act, there's been ESSER 1, ESSER 2, and recently ESSER 3, which is, we have not received a final number on the ESSER 3, if I'm right on that. Correct. Jefferson, okay. The anticipated ESSER 3 could be up to $6 million. But one of the requirements on accepted ESSER funds is that we have to have a public input on where people may want to see that money be spent, and we're required to have it. It's no different than the city council. When they approve the money for us, they have to have a public meeting for it, so this is the opportunity. I have nobody here from the public that I can say, oh, I got one, wait a second, right at the end, come on up. Or you can stand there and, well, no, I guess I'm not gonna move the camera, come on up. No, you know it, when you're up here, you can talk, just, only thing I ask you is you just state who you are and what ward you're from.
Oh, I don't know what ward.
Where do you live?
In South Main Street?
So you live in Ward 1.
Oh, I gotta go up here?
Yeah, just go right up front, and then Ken will move the camera for you, and you can speak to our board and our YouTube at the same time.
Oh, jeez.
So just state your name.
Hi, my name is Cindy Dover, and I'm from Ward 1.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And you'd like to speak on behalf of the public input on our ESSER money?
What is it for?
The ESSER money is elementary and secondary school emergency relief funds. It's the money that's going to help us to compensate for losses, revenues, that we have anticipated, educational losses that we've had because of the COVID pandemic. And that money is, there is strict guidelines that are put upon it, and it has to be only for certain things. And Jefferson or the superintendent can explain those to you more if you want them to.
So I just say like what I would like it to be
Yes.
spent on?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I love the fact that you guys are hiring new staff to help out, like especially with the special ed, because I have been reading that they've been underserved. I don't know about here, but I know in general in the country. The free meals that you're giving out, I know that those help a lot. I do work with members of the community, and I see a lot of food insecurity, so yeah, I like that. I'm not sure what else. But
do you have any kids in the school district?
I have, yeah, a 7-year-old at the elementary school and a 15-year-old that goes here. The funding for the Chromebooks, if that's part of it.
It is.
The internet, I think that's awesome. I can afford it, but I know a lot of people that struggle with that. I know there's like the rec center, that's another thing that, because during the worst part of COVID, I didn't have childcare. And I've been on the wait list for like 6 months. I was able to get my son into the rec center, but if more money could be funneled to help out with childcare, especially if we switch the hours, I think that would be awesome. And just helping the kids to get out more instead of being at home.
How did they do? How do you feel they did on the when they were fully remote?
I am so impressed. Like, I'm not super emotional person, but it brings me to tears thinking about how amazing the school was with responding to bringing the food to people, like on the buses. I've never heard of that before. That was just amazing. The Chromebooks, like I couldn't believe every single kid has a Chromebook. There's money to help with internet. Like, there's so many resources. I know people that have been allowed to come to the school because they don't have reliable internet at home. I think overall it was handled very, very well. I was surprised, and in such a short amount of time also.
Excellent, thank you.
So.
One of the good things you'll be happy to know that there's both a state and federal bill, a legislative bill that is passing, that is going through to have a nationwide almost broadband to be brought to areas that have difficulties with internet connection, and so there is a big bill and push out there to do upgrade on broadband throughout New Hampshire and the United States. So that's going to be hopefully that will be something that we're going to see over the next few years. But I do appreciate your input in this, and Superintendent Gallo was taking down some of the notes on where you'd like to see it.
And I appreciate like the flexibility also, because I ended up getting sick. My son was fine. My daughter had some symptoms, and it was like we were still able to do stuff at home. my son was able to work at home, my daughter was able to work at home, and if, like, there were some days she wasn't able to do anything and I wasn't either, and we just called and let them know, and it wasn't a huge deal, so the flexibility was awesome too.
Excellent. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
See us tonight. Thank you very much. Is there anybody that has emailed you, Dan, about this public hearing or public input?
Nope, we're good.
All right, there was no, Superintendent Gallows received no public input through his email or anything, so based upon that, I'm going to close the public input on the ESSER funds, and I am going to close agenda item 5. I will now move on to agenda item 6, which is our Franklin High School Student Representative Report with Colby Bunker.
So Colby was unable to attend tonight or find a replacement. He said that they didn't have any questions for the board at this time, besides the students are hoping to get more hot lunches and hot breakfasts. That's all I can say. They're very happy with what Brenda had put into place so that they are getting hot meals for lunches a couple days a week.
Oh, okay, so they want a continuation of that, is what they're
Yeah,
looking
they're
for,
just,
Carrie?
yeah.
Okay, all right.
Do you want to talk about this? I don't know if the rest of the board knows about this.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So, you know, as we've gone through the pandemic, the kitchen staff has been working out of the middle school kitchen, and primarily we've been serving grab-and-go breakfast and lunch, which is obviously cold food. We've been serving hot meals through the middle school window for those families that can come and pick it up during the hours of 7:30 to noon time. So now that the kids are back in school since April 19th, they were asking for a little more variety of just not having just the cold food every day. So Brenda was able to work it out so that every third day, each school gets a hot meal. So one day elementary school, the next day middle school, the next day high school, and then the rotation starts again. So they're still able to meet the needs of preparing the meals that go out on the buses, while still feeding all the kids that are in school and providing hot meals for one school at a time every third day. So that's where we're at this point. And they seem to be satisfied that we've made that step. That's what Carrie's referring to.
Excellent.
Yep.
Great. Another positive thing by Brenda to bring forward.
Absolutely.
She does this.
She does respond.
Yes, she does. All right, thank you. All right, I'm going to close agenda item 6. I will move on to agenda item 7, which is the approval of board meeting minutes for April 15th, 2021, please. So if anybody would like to make that motion.
I move to approve the board minutes from our last board meeting.
Christie has made a motion to approve the April 15th, 2021 school board meeting board minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Delaney. Do I have any discussion?
I have 2 corrections, Tim.
Go ahead, Deb.
Page 3, under number 6A, discussion was held regarding the middle school exterior entry walkway, not handicapped entrance.
It is the handicap entrance.
It is a handicap entrance, though.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay, because when we were talking about it in finance, we talked about it as an exterior entry walkway. Okay.
It's actually both
It's
it's
both.
a handicap and an emergency exit, because you have
Okay.
classrooms up there, and it's also used, if the cafeteria needed to go out that way, cafeteria has exits on both the main exit, and they use that door on that up there as an exit
Yeah,
also.
I just never had heard it as an emergency, as a handicapped access.
Yep.
On page 5, under 4, the motion for Paul Doucette to accept with regret, it should have said, and best wishes for the retirement of Madeline Wright.
All right, that's been noted. Any others?
That's it.
All right, now I have Maureen. Maureen, go ahead.
I can't find it on my computer here. But anyways, under old business, it was in reference to Tim Dow being, it was the liaison committee, and it's not the liaison committee because you were discussing state legislation on education.
So it should be legislative.
And it should be, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be corrected, legislative committee. And if I can just, are the minutes in the packet?
Yes.
They are.
Okay, where are they?
This should be right after the agenda.
Okay, just a minute. I'm sorry, I'm not prepared. If we had hands left.
It's on page 4.
Page 4.
And it should be
Legislative committee. Yeah. Yeah, if I was giving updates on
Okay.
funding. Okay, that's been corrected.
Okay.
Is that it? Is that the only one, Maureen?
I just have a question in general.
Okay.
When you're taking notes and the use of we and our, I understand with the our, but with the we, if you're talking about, is that specific enough? If you are referencing school district or a particular school or a particular program?
If you're pointing out, let's say like Winnisquam School District, we'll use for an example, then we should have in there Winnisquam School District. And if we're talking about a specific program, then it should be the specific program in there.
Okay, because I noticed that there was a lot of, in regards to, okay, when you were talking about, I believe it was the superintendent was talking about preschool at Paul Smith School. It says we are very excited about this this particular program and being able to increase it. Who is we?
The we's that's gonna be the administrative team. That would be Dan and Susan Blair and
Okay.
Paul
We can get
Smith.
more specific, though.
But we can get more
We can get more
specific.
specific. It's good feedback.
Okay, I'm just saying that
Yeah.
perhaps it needs to be more specific
Yeah.
as to whom you are referring to.
And we will adjust that
Okay,
on the minutes going forward.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any other comments?
I have one more, Tim.
Yeah, go ahead.
On page 5 again, under the professional staff hourly wage, the 5th line, it says pandemic. Should that be loss of student learning? Because it doesn't sound right. Because it's not addressing the pandemic, it's addressing the loss of student learning.
Yeah, with your mask, I can't understand. No.
What about loss of student learning during?
How about loss of student learning during the pandemic?
That's fine, just as long as it shows that it's pertaining to the students' learning.
All right, we will note that and that'll be changed. All right, so are there any other corrections? Okay, seeing none, I need a roll call vote on the minutes as corrected. As corrected.
Susan Hallett Cook,
Abstain.
Deb Brown,
Yes.
Tim Dow,
Yes.
Maureen Opie,
Yes.
Christy Martin. Yes. And Delaney Carrier.
Yes.
Motion passes, minutes are accepted. Okay, we'll now move on to agenda item 8, which is our old business.
We also have revised minutes from March 15th.
Yeah, we're gonna take those up as a late item since they didn't get on the agenda.
Yeah, we'll have to do it that way. All right. We're gonna still move on to agenda item 8, old business, and we'll turn it over to Jefferson for our finance and expenditure reports.
Good evening, everybody.
an opportunity to look at the latest financial information that I uploaded to the Google Drive. Since our last meeting, we have spent and encumbered $169,218. Majority of that is due to the approval at the last board meeting of encumbering $100,000 for the entryway project at the middle school. We've had about $20,152 encumbered for regular education supplies and materials, $13,930 of special education personnel costs related to transferring Title I assistance to special education paraeducators, additional $2,800 of adult education software and personnel costs, $15,753 in nursing costs, primarily due to the hiring of a nurse at the middle school that had been vacant for a little while. Additional $9,900 for speech services and $12,009 for facilities repairs and equipment, including the emergency replacement of air conditioning unit on a server closet at the middle school. Our revenues have improved by $71,843. This is due to additional Medicaid that we've received, interest on our checking account, and indirect costs related to the administration of our federal grants, and additional food service revenue to the food service fund. Just a quick update on the entryway project. I have put out an article at several papers, Laconia Daily Sun, Concord Monitor, and Union Leader, requesting bids for the entryway project. I have actually gotten several responses, which is hopeful. And then I've been emailing other construction companies to provide them that information and hopefully get them to bid, including like Meridian that did our entryway project here, Bowen Corporation, Coniston Construction Incorporated. I have a voicemail today came from an Engelberth Construction, which is in New Hampshire and Vermont, and another business down in Manchester. So we've actually had some pretty good response. Hopefully that will provide us with a lot of bids. I send them out an introductory letter and a copy of the architectural and engineering report from Oak Associates and the drawings that they put together for us as to what the specifications for the entryway would be. So hopefully that gives us a lot of response. I gave them a deadline of June 18th to provide us with the bid. And the superintendent will speak to that about a meeting that we'll have to have with the board once we have those bids, assuming we do get some bids, to approve the contractor we would like to move forward with. The only other thing I have to talk about, but it's in the superintendent's packet, so I'll wait till that, but it's just regarding the budget for next year, and when it comes up in his discussion, I'll add to that.
All right.
Anybody have any questions on any of that?
Any questions for Jefferson? Jefferson, month after month, you just do such a great job. No one ever has any questions for you.
I prefer to think that I'm just baffling everybody with information, just not really.
We'll all just shake our head. No, great job. Thank you, Jefferson. All right. Under the old business, the second part of our old business committee reports, we will start with Delaney.
Thank you. We had two I-2 meetings since our last school board meeting. The first was April 19th, a strategic planning special meeting. We have Linda Lee here tonight to be addressing the board regarding our proposed updates for the strategic plan. We'll be taking feedback from the board tonight, and we'll have one more discussion in I-2 before coming back to the board for a final vote on acceptance at our June meeting. We had a May 10th I-2 meeting. Several of these items will be discussed by Dan in his updates tonight, including high school privileges, changing the school start times, summer school programming, manufacturing update, and we already talked about the Conval lawsuit tonight. Our next meeting will be June 10th at 5 o'clock at the SAU. And one of our discussion points at that meeting will be proposing projects surrounding data-driven research projects. So one of the first ones that we've already started talking about is correlating school funding to student outcomes. So if any school board members have any thoughts on research projects that they would like to see relating to data mining and any questions they'd like to have answered as part of this process, please forward those questions to either Dan or myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Delaney. Any questions for Delaney? All right, we'll move on to Deb. I know, Deb, you've got a report tonight.
Yeah, we had our finance committee meeting on, whoops, I guess I just got lost, so there we go. On May 12th, Wednesday, and reviewed our April minutes and expenditure reports and bank reconciliations. There was nothing on the unusual in those. We talked about the entryway project that Jefferson just spoke about. And they, Jefferson and Dan and Tim presented the budget to the city council. And I'll let Dan talk about that during his presentation, as I wasn't able to be there. We're going to be discussing special education at our next meeting. We discussed a 5-year CIP plan that the city is looking for, and Dan and Jefferson will be reviewing things with Dan Clark to see what our needs are for the district for the upcoming 5 years that are over the minimum of $10,000 that could be added to our CIP, as most of our CIP items that were in the plan have been completed. And our next meeting is going to be on June 9th as a potential meeting, should something come up.
Great. Thank you, Deb. Any questions for Deb? All right, thank you. We did, Cecile's not here tonight, but we did have a policy meeting a couple weeks ago. I don't have my calendar in front of me, which is unusual for me. But we did have a policy meeting. Maureen was there, and Christy was there, myself, and Cecile, and then Dan and Jewel. No, Jewel wasn't at that one. She had her play. So, but we had a good one. So you'll see we have some first readings tonight that pertain to them. So they were on our agenda item for tonight. So we did have a policy meeting, and we have another one. Do you remember when it was, Dan?
Not till September.
September, that's right. We kind of pushed
Taking
it out
June
because of
off,
everything
yeah.
going on, so we did have that. So are there any other committee reports? All right, thank you, everybody. Okay, this brings me on to agenda item 9, which is our new business. Our new business is done through the superintendent, so I will turn it over to Superintendent Legallo to do agenda item 9.
Thank you, Chairman Dow. So it's my pleasure to introduce Lynn Healy to you. I think most of you all know Lynn. She's been facilitating our strategic plan for how many years, Lynn?
Many.
At least three and a half, maybe? For a long time, and she's been with us through the pandemic as well, trying to figure out a way to keep this going. So she's here with us tonight to kind of just show you what she has put together for us based on the work we did back in November as a full board, and as well as through a few meetings on the I-2 committee. So Lynn, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. You go right from there.
I can go right
You're
from
fine.
here?
Yeah, you're right on camera.
Why, thank you, sir. It's nice to see all of you in person. I can hear better when I'm physically here, so thank you. We did have a meeting in November so that we could capture, I think, the thinking of people leaving the board. And we made wonderful lists to go under each of the 3 core values, the one on students, the one on faculty, and the one for community. And from that, we took the information and made some recommendations about what could be action steps that we could do within the next year or so, and then what might need to be put off for a little while longer. I have to say that during COVID, this district has done a really nice job about moving forward. You haven't let it get in your way. So I'd like to congratulate all of you because I think it just shows the level of commitments that you have to the students in Franklin. And after all, aren't they why we are here? So thank you all for that. I believe that you have all received the information that the committee reviewed at its last meeting with some action planning in there. And so really what I'd like to do is to see if you have any questions or if you have any suggestions about directions that we maybe didn't consider that need to be considered at this time. Everybody got this, right? And I know they read it and digested it.
It would have been in the school board packet.
Yeah.
The information from Lynn that was in our school board packet, has anybody had the opportunity to read that? And if so, does anybody have any questions pertaining to that information that was given out in the school board packet? So Deb, are you all set with it?
I'm all set. I thought it was a good read, and I think that the goals that are set under each core value are right in line with what we're looking for.
Thank you, Deb. Susan Hallett-Cook?
I agree with Deb.
Thank you, Susan. Christy, you all set with everything? Did you have an opportunity?
I'm all set.
Excellent.
It was great.
Thank you. Delaney, we know you're all set. We've been together in those meetings, so I'm all set because Delaney and I serve on this committee together, so I am good with it. Maureen?
Excellent.
Excellent. So you did another outstanding job. You do great for our facilitator, I can tell you that.
Thank you.
You really do.
Thank you.
do.
I have so much fun with all of you, so thank you very much.
Do you have anything to add on to that?
I don't. I think the next step, you're going to look at this one more time at the next meeting, and then it'll come forward to the board for a vote.
Yep.
Nice job.
So there will be, like you have all read, there will be some adjustments, there will be some changes. We've done very well. Originally, if I remember right, Lynn, this was a 5-year plan.
Yeah.
That we've done, and we've done extremely well.
Yes.
As a board and as a administrative team and a district in whole, to have kept this going and staying on task and up to date with it. And it's what I'm very proud of is that it's been a live object. This is not sat on a shelf.
This is what we were hoping for, Tim.
And collected dust, and then 5 years later, Delaney and I come back and recreate the whole thing again. And you know, being in my eighth year on the school board, I can tell you that this is something that is very unheard of in a lot of districts, unfortunately. But under Dan's leadership and the administrative team, this has been kept alive, a live document, and it's been fulfilled by everybody. So kudos to Dan and his staff for keeping this as what it should be doing, and that's driving this district forward. So, and it can't be done without administration to make sure that it's driven forward. So thank you for that. And you'll see the updates on this. We will, put it out for a couple more years. These additions will give us a few more years onto it, and then we'll just go. We'll continue moving this forward because it's something that has to we always have to be one step ahead of it all the time, and added new values and new goals and how we achieve them, because that's gonna not only make us a successful school district, but it makes us a successful school board. So it's important that we keep it. So thank you for what you guys have done. And Lynn, I know you have other plans, so thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Lynn has been here for a good portion of the day to get all this straightened out and ready for us, so thank you, Lynn.
Thank you. It was nice to see all of you. Thanks.
Okay, next up, school start time, end time swap. So we've been talking about this for several months. I did put a letter out to the community last week telling the community that I was going to be bringing this to the board tonight with my recommendation. My recommendation was in my report. I will review it for you, but my recommendation is that we do make the swap and that the elementary school will go to the early start and the middle and high school will move to the later starts. I did get the information about single stream busing. We did talk at one point about perhaps having all the kids bused at the same time on the buses. That was going to be 2 or 3 buses extra at the cost of about $151,000. So I met with the administrative team and we unanimously felt like that was not worth that kind of money. We also felt like that really didn't solve the problem we were trying to solve at the same time. So we did come back to look at the swap times. We looked at the document from the minimum standards, which was in your shared folder in your packet that talked about the length of the high school day and 7th and 8th grade day being up to 6 hours long for instruction, and then the K to 6 being 5.75 hours of instruction. So my recommendation is going to be that we start drop-off at the elementary school at 7:15, and that their instructional day start at 7:40, and that we begin dismissal at 2 o'clock. It takes about 20 to 25 minutes to dismiss the elementary school. So that brings that to about 2:20, 2:25 by the time the kids are all out of the building. Middle school would be the next drop-off in the morning at 8:05, and their instructional day would start at 8:25. And then their dismissal would be at 3:05. And then with the high school, the drop-off would be 8:10, instructional day would be 8:30, dismissal would be 3:15. You had both a sample middle school schedule and a high school schedule in there to show you the instructional hours for each of the buildings. The high school was right on 6 hours, which is the max you can have by the ED 306 that I sent you. Ken's school's a little unique because he's got the lower elementary kids and then he's got the 7th and 8th, so he's got a schedule that accommodates both. So the lower, younger kids have a recess built in, as they should. In his 7th and 8th grade, he's getting creative about the use of their time. Instead of having a recess, it's going to be more of a flex time for all kinds of different things to occur instructionally, including physical fitness. One of the big things that we talked about with the community and a lot of the questions that we had, you might remember that we had about 35 questions that came back to us from the survey, and we answered those questions and sent them out to the community. The availability of childcare was on everybody's mind, so I did reach out to Crystal at the rec center, and we had a long conversation about it. She is fairly confident that she will be able to handle the elementary kids earlier in the day. She does have enough staff, she believes at this point, to take those kids on. She doesn't have just high school students that work her program. She has other people that work that program as well. I did talk to the Boys and Girls Club about reestablishing the program. Now as we got out of COVID, they are excited about trying to start a program, especially if we move to an earlier time for the elementary kids. The concern that both have right now, which is a concern we all have, is hiring staff, because it's very difficult right now to hire any staff, but I believe we might be out of some of these situations by September in terms of the availability of employees. So my recommendation to the board, after doing months of this work and going back and forth with the community and talking to community members, I think we have addressed all the things that we can address at this point. It's just a matter of, are we ready to take this step? Pretty much to say that we mean it when we want change for our kids, we want academic improvement, and we want it so badly that we're willing to upset the apple cart by flipping the school start times and end times. Because to me, that starts the conversation about doing better in the community. We certainly have everybody's attention. We certainly have made it clear that our intention is, to raise academic achievement, and I think that if we're ever going to do it, now's the time to do it. So,
All right, I'm going to open it up to any board members that have any questions for our superintendent. Okay, Deb and Susan look good. They have no questions.
Questions, I have a few comments.
Okay, go ahead.
I've had, as you know, I have children in the school district still. And I've had several kids come to me about, I don't like being on the camera. It's not the same as the stage.
Just project then.
Yeah, I will project. I've had a couple of middle school students come to me and they were concerned about the time difference and they would rather be in school earlier, and these students are actually going into high school next year. And I told them what they need to do, and I know that a couple of them went to talk to Mr. Legallo about it, and they were concerned, and I told them that this was really in their best interest. So I'm just conveying this to the board that I had some students come to me to talk about this. I honestly think that it's not really going to create that big of a difference. It's only about a half an hour to 45 minutes difference in the morning and in the afternoon. And we've been going over this for quite a while. It's not like this is new. This is being just brought up today. And people have had plenty of time to open up about it. And I think that it's a great idea for our community. I think it's great for the students especially because there's a lot of students that have a hard time getting out of bed in the morning, and especially the older kids, and I think this will be good for them.
Thank you, Christine.
Yeah.
Anybody like to say anything else? Any other comments? Okay, I know that science has driven this. I've done a lot of research on this. Sue Blair has brought up a lot of science portions of this, how especially our most youngest children, which is in Sue's school, where after lunch, it's very difficult to keep their attention and want to do anything further after they had their lunch. So I think, Superintendent Legallo said, when we want to show that we want to improve the outcomes in scores for our children, we need to start this at Sue Blair's school. And we need to do this, and show that this is something that's important, and we know that this works. Many schools are going to this, and science has shown that it works. And even if for some reason things don't seem to go the way we want them to go, that doesn't mean we can't re-evaluate this and look at it and do it again. But I think if we don't at least give it an opportunity, especially where science is, I know our principals have been in on this, Sue's been in on it, Ken's been on it, Carrie's been in on it, and they realize and they support it, and there's a lot of positive things that both Sue's school and Ken's school is going to be doing that are going to help our kids that get there earlier, that are going to help with the education. I know Carrie's doing a lot of things with the high school, with Tim, with our ninth graders and stuff. So, this later time and kids coming in later for the high school, trust me, I see a vast drop in our late kids coming into school, tardiness coming into the school with a later start. So I do support this. I think that a lot of time and effort has been put into this, and it is time to move forward with it. So I do support it. And based on that support, I'm going to make the motion that we accept the early school start times and end times to be swapped within our 3 schools, within our Franklin School District, as has been presented this evening by the superintendent. Second by Delaney. Do we have any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, I will need a roll call vote, please.
Susan Hallett Coe,
Yes.
Deb Brown,
Yes.
Tim Dow,
Yes.
Maureen Obie,
Yes.
Delaney Courier,
Yes.
Christy Martin.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously, and our school start times and end times will be swapped.
Thank you very much, everybody. Next up is end-of-year events planning. So I want to thank the 2 high school students that presented the prom. I have each principal that's going to very briefly just share with you what we're planning for our events in terms of graduation, and other events that we typically do. The one that I will share and discuss with you first, though, is the annual Class Day Parade. So I met with Chief Goldstein and Chief Foss and actually Tim, the four of us, to talk about the Class Day Parade. I expressed my discomfort with trying to pull off a Class Day Parade while we're still in the middle of the pandemic here, where we're still doing the things that we're doing in school. We're not even mixing classes within a building. So the notion that we're going to put all of our kids in a parade them down Central Street, some of them get on buses, it just didn't sit well with me. So I did talk with all of them. So I believe that it's in our best interest to postpone again the Class Day Parade for one more year. I'm about 99% confident that next year we should be able to get back to what we would call normal. But I just fear that if we try to pull the parade off, that we're going to end up doing something we're going to regret in terms of the media coming out and questioning why we would be doing this. And I've always lived by the fact that if I can't sell it to myself, then I'm not going to try and sell it to others. And this is one where I just don't believe that it's something that we can do safely. So my recommendation on the parade is to postpone it once again. So that can come up with all the other discussion. But I want to start with Sue Blair first, with her. She only has one actual event that she's going to talk to you about. So you're on, Sue.
Hi, everyone. So essentially for end of year, most of our celebrations are self-contained, but we do have one that is an evening event, and that's our kindergarten celebration. So essentially what we are going to do is be supporting our kindergartners with having an outdoor celebration. It is the night of June 16th, and it's at 5:30 in the evening. We will make sure that our families are socially distanced. Tim, did you have a question for me, or are you okay?
No, I'm just lost my hearing for a second. I didn't know if you said 5 or 5:30, so I could write it in my calendar.
5:30.
Thank you.
And it will be similar to, the events that we've had in the past. It will just have to be outside with our families socially distancing. We are going to limit the number of adults to 4, just simply because we have limited space at the elementary school. We will box out areas for each family. So we're going to be working with our families to make this as successful as we can, but we really feel strongly about the fact that our kindergartners need to celebrate moving from kindergarten to first grade, excuse me, especially where we weren't able to do some of the precursor kindergarten events that we would normally do with our kindergarten group. So the rest of them are pretty much self-contained. Our third graders have always had a party, so that's held during the day. And then, of course, our preschool is doing their promotion or their graduation by Zoom. Pretty straightforward.
All right. Ken, you want us to talk about the middle school?
Yeah, give me a sec, I'll come around front. So we have essentially 2 end-of-the-year events at the middle school. One is what we call, or what the kids call, or we traditionally call the semi, or the semi-formal. And that's usually a dance that we have with our 8th graders in the gym. We have 75 8th graders. We can't possibly accommodate them in the gym. So what we're going to propose is an 8th grade celebration outdoors. Carnival type atmosphere. Mrs. Baca's usually the one who plans it. She's already on board with it. The teams already have a great idea of what they'd like to do. It's going to be, we're going to get some help from Mr. Gunn for some games and events, tug of war, some ring tosses, that sort of thing, to make it sort of a carnival type atmosphere. We're going to get some help from food service to provide hamburgers and hot dogs to the kids. It'll be on June 11th, which is a Friday night. That gives us until, if we need a rain date, the following Monday. It'll be on our facilities, in our fields. So it'll be all between our soccer pitch and our other main section area out there. We'll have loud music for the kids, socially distanced dancing if they want to do some dancing. And it'll probably be somewhere around 5:30 till about 8 in the evening, but we're sort of firming up the times right now. So there'll be food, we got a donation of a whole bunch of ice cream, so there'll be make your own sundaes. And we're getting some help from the kids with some ideas of what they'd like to do. So we're still working on that. So that's June 11th for the 8th grade celebration. And then traditionally, we have our graduation on the night before the last day of school. So this year, the night before the last day of school is the 21st. It's a Monday night. And we're proposing to have an outdoor graduation ceremony on our grounds. I did a little measurement today, and if we go closest to the fence on the far end, actually that triangular field has a berm that is an up level that goes to our soccer pitch, which would be a great place to make a natural stage. So our presentation can be from the hill down into the valley. I've measured the section, and we can easily fit over 150 people there on the smaller part that I did, 6-foot distance. Thank you for that. 6-foot distance. So we figured that we can have our 75-odd graduates in the front with the chairs 6 foot distance apart, so they can come up to the stage and get their awards. And we'll condense the awards so that a student only would have to come up once. So they get their certificate, and if they're recognized for different awards, they'd get that all at once with that time. And it would be, of course, announced by the announcer, which would likely be Mr. Anderson and his voice. We have outdoor PA system all set up. And the other reason that I did it from that section is because I have 200 feet of cable so that I can put a camera in the middle of the field and broadcast it live. We're planning to allow each student to have 4 guests, so that therefore we'll create a box of 4 chairs for each one of those families, so that they'll have a place where they can sit. And that also will be more 3-foot distance, so masks will likely be required, although it'll be all doors. Our event, of course, is for that Monday night, which is the 21st, and if it is that we have a rain date of the next night.
What time again, Ken?
6 p.m.
6 p.m.
6 p.m. start. And that works out very nicely because I don't want to steal any thunder, but because we're able to share the chairs with the high school, which we made arrangements for. So it really worked out well. And she has about 400 chairs, so I think we'll have more than enough for whatever we need. And we have more than enough space for us to make it socially distanced.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
All right, Carrie, you're up.
Oh, wait, one last thing. The other thing, Susan will say, we do traditionally step up activities with our 3rd graders, and we have parent information nights for our 3rd graders. I traditionally do it at the 3rd grade concert, which will not be at our gym this year. So we're going to set up a Zoom-type presentation like this for our incoming 4th grade families, so that they can come and either attend via Zoom, or they can watch it on YouTube and do a Q&A, and we're in the process of making the last arrangements for that. It'll be broadcast out of our library.
Outstanding.
All right, and Ms. Surratt, you share what the events at the high school.
Okay.
Besides the prom, which we already know about.
Besides the prom, yep. So we have our Golden Grad celebration that we're looking for the board to approve. We were not able to recognize our Golden Graduates last year. There is a document in the folder. It says a copy of Golden Grad. I tried to put it, I guess, in the school board. It didn't go because it didn't belong to me, but it's there. So we are looking to actually be able to recognize the students who haven't had more than 5 unexcused absences, either through their sophomore and senior year, and they have never failed a course. So whether it be advisory or any of their other classes through the pandemic, all of these students have no referrals, they haven't failed a single class, and they have no more than 5 unexcused absences. We have 20 recipients from this graduating class that we're looking to recognize. They do get a medal that they wear on their cap and gown for graduation. So Elks was going to host us last year when we had the idea where teachers would actually serve the students and their families. So the green team came up with the idea of having a picnic here on campus, and we're working with Brenda Patel. I think it's going to end up being pulled pork. So the staff will actually be kind of like running down to the field and taking their orders and asking what they want for drinks and their sandwiches and stuff, and then we're going to prepare them and bring them down. We're going to use the PA system from the tower to just recognize the kids, and they'll get their medals at that point. The family groups will be 6 feet apart with tables, but they're the cohesive in-house groups, and then they'll be wearing their masks other than that. But we wanted to be able to have that outside. The rain date is the day after if the weather's not great, and that's for June 1st. We wanted to keep it before prom in case we end up into that quarantine piece where students might not be able to come to graduation if it's over a certain time. So we made sure to put that for June 1st.
What time are you getting care for the gold celebration?
6 o'clock here on the football field. We also have the scholarship delivery for the 8th, 9th, and 10th. Last year, Officer Tracy and Miller were very well received by our families and our students, so much so that the students had asked if we were doing that again this year. Officer Tracy's on duty on the 8th, but she'll help us do deliveries in the afternoon, and then she's giving up 2 of her, I guess, her off days, but her and Miller will be with us on the 9th and 10th doing deliveries. The kids really liked it because she totals up how much they have in scholarships, and we get to take pictures with Miller and her, and we put them on social media. So I'm just very thankful that she enjoyed it and wants to do it again. And we have our graduation planned for Friday night, the 18th, with a rain date of Saturday. We do have enough chairs. Students will be able to have 4 tickets, and they'll be 3 feet apart, the family clusters, so they'll be wearing masks. And we'll be able to do something more traditional for our students for graduation this year. They're looking forward to it, being able to be in their caps and gowns and being able to march, and us giving them their diplomas on stage and having photos. And we were able to coordinate the rental chairs so that they can be used for 8th grade graduation as well. Let's see here. And then there's an additional event that I put in the packet that I was pretty excited about. My sophomore class is looking to have a fundraiser, and they want to get together on Friday morning, 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. in the lower field, and have what's called the sophomore sunrise. So it's an event. They're going to charge admission. There'll be different activities. They want to do like cornhole and ladder ball and a couple of different things, and just actually be together and watch the sunrise. I mean, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. I was like, nope, I'll chaperone. I'm not worried about that. And we have a couple other teachers that are willing. But I thought it was really nice. They want to have a tie-dye station. They want to have, they're looking to get free donuts and things like that to have for breakfast, so they don't actually have to buy things. But there are going to be breakfast items, and they'll make sure that the kids are 6 feet apart. They are going to be doing temp checks, just like we do in a normal school day. I'm looking forward to actually having that event because we haven't really had any fundraisers for the kids this year. So I'm hoping that the board approves that so that we can have that event as well. Okay. That's May 28th if we get it approved. And they did a rain date of the fall. It's actually supposed to be the following Friday. It says June 4th, but it's the following Friday, but that's okay. Saturday's fine with me if we have to be here. Lots of information.
On the sophomore fundraiser, is it everybody's invited that goes to the school?
The whole school's invited, yep.
Okay.
Those that want to brave the 5 a.m. Okay. Well, they're having part of the sophomore fundraisers is that they're actually looking to have some type of a competition with advisories. So the group that has the most students attend this early morning piece, they want to do like a little ice cream party or something for that specific advisory.
Cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. And how will they raise funds? Like, where will the funds come from?
They're charging admission, so $8 for singles and $12 for couples or pair tickets.
Carrie, how are you going to help the students that can't afford the $8 or the $12?
Typically, students will, sometimes a school social worker, or the guidance counselors, or a class advisor will come see me and let me know. And then we can work something out, even if I have to figure out a way for them to go. Mr. Westfall and I have done that for a few other kids for some other things. We don't want anybody to miss out.
So you just wanted one big approval.
Approval and the year events.
All right, because we've heard from all three principals, and they're all having multiple great items, and I don't want to go through all of the items and approve one by one, because I don't think we all want to do this. So I am going to recommend that we, and I'll make the motion, that we do an overall motion. So I'm going to make a motion to accept all of the celebrations through all of our three schools as was presented by all three principals.
Second.
Susan, I'll give you that one. Susan Allen Cook will be the second. Is there any
Since I don't ever get one.
Is there any other discussion? Seeing no other discussion, I'll need a roll call vote, please.
Susan Hallett Cook,
Yes.
Deb Brown,
Yes.
Tim Dow,
Yes.
Maureen Opie,
Yes.
Delaney Courier,
Yes.
and Christy Martin. Yes.
That motion passes unanimously. All the celebrations from all the schools are accepted and approved.
Thank you, everybody. All right, next up is the Franklin High School Program of Studies for next year. So Carrie, I don't know if you want to briefly just say anything about that?
We had met with I2, so there is a little piece in there about our privileges. I included our freshman academy. That would be a new piece that's entered into there. And I believe that was the only major change. We also included the manufacturing classes that we're doing on campus through LRCC. And the only other piece was the discussion about the privileges, which I'm more than welcome to talk. Do you want me to talk about that? I don't mind. Privileges.
Why don't you do the privileges now?
Yep.
We'll do both together.
So we've been working on the privileges for the past few years. When I took over the principalship, the privileges were that students just had to be passing, which was a 65, and kids could leave campus for more than one block a day. Now with our schedule for next year, we were looking to bring back that the juniors could have either a late arrival or early release, and that the seniors could have late arrival and early release. Some of the privileges that we're looking to instill for the students next year are a student lounge. Tim's been working really hard, and he worked with Barb and got some funding for some nice furniture and a couple different things. So students who have privileges will be able to sign out of a study hall and be able to go and be in that lounge space. The change in privileges, we're still at the 70. We brought it up to 75, and then we're going to be looking at that through next year to bring that number up even a little bit higher, because it used to be at a B, which is an 80%. So we've been working on that because we do want to have high standards for kids, and we do want them to be successful with that. Tim's also been working with my admin team about what does it look like for students who are passing all of their classes, because they are going to be in guided study halls, learning labs. So they might possibly be able to have privileges as well to leave those spaces to use that lounge. So that was the only change. The advisory program for next year, because it's only going to be 20 minutes, it's kind of changing. And instead of getting a numerical grade for that class, it would just be switching to pass-fail. That's the other piece.
Tim, you were pretty instrumental on some of the discussion tonight too. You want to touch on a little bit with the special privilege part of it?
Sure, I just want to make sure that the board is aware that what we're looking at, it's multi-tiered, and so that there are different levels that students have to meet. So as far as getting to early release and late arrival, I think Carrie, talked about, being at, whether it's a 75 or an 80 to earn that privilege, internally, the students who are successful. We want to make sure that if you access the student lounge, that these students are making good choices. It is a privilege and they have to earn that. So that would be a little less of a tier. So if it's 80, let's say, for early privilege-led arrival, it would be a 75 or above to get access to the student lounge as a built-in break during the day. We want to put students in a position where they can actually hit these levels to be successful. So we don't want to set the bar too high where nobody can access them and then take advantage of the system. The idea is to incentivize and to drive and improve student outcome and student performance in the school. So we want to make sure that it is achievable. We also have, some ideas too, again, students that may not have access to the lounge, that potentially the library could be another spot, where they have to be passing all of their classes, So again, we're looking at multi-levels, multi-layers. And obviously the students that we're looking to target in those learning labs, we want to make sure that those students are getting the assistance or the support that they need so that they can be successful, in the hopes that someday they'll be able to earn some of the additional privileges we're looking to offer in the future.
Thank you, Tim, that's great, thank you. All right, so you need approval of both of these.
Need
right?
approval of both. Yep.
All right, so before we make motions and get approval on this, does anybody have any questions? First thing we'll start with is our program studies for 2021, 2022 that Carrie has spoken about. Does Deb or Susan have any questions for Carrie?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead, Deb.
Under the mathematics, is there not a general math for students that struggle and aren't up to the algebra or other levels?
So we have an algebra foundations class for next year. I think it's the first one that's listed.
Yeah.
So that the core class part of that will be meeting every other day, and then they're going to actually have a learning lab built in to bring those students up for their skills. So that will fulfill the Algebra 1 credit. I think are you talking about classes for when the students kind of move a little bit further along and they're looking at like junior and senior year? Because we also...
No, I was thinking of the lower grades coming up, like the 8th graders coming up. If they're not ready for algebra, what will they be able to move into?
They're taking the Algebra Foundations class. So the
Okay.
tiered interventions are built right in.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're excited about that class. Something different for next year.
Any other questions, Deb?
Yes, one more. Is there any classes or potential of personal finances that the basics that students will be learning in any of the classes that are being provided?
So there's a math class that's personal finance. So they take that junior and senior year. And I'm also looking to have Franklin Savings Bank come in and do a section of personal finance and savings accounts and checking accounts with the freshman academy. Yeah, I think we did.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Deb. Susan, do you have any questions for what it pertaining to the program studies?
My question was really the same as Deb's, and that is real life math learning. The need of our kids to be able to understand, even if it's, however they want to do it, but the whole idea of budgeting and how much money you need to make to be able to afford food and clothing and rent, etc. I think our kids need real life skills.
And I think Carrie's looking at that with Franklin Savings Bank.
Yep. Mr. Bedard teaches that class right now too, and Franklin Savings partners with us for some of that.
And did you hear Carrie say Mr. Bedard also teaches that and will partner it up with Franklin Savings Bank?
Yes.
All right, thank you, Susan. Within the board, Christy, do you have any questions on it?
No, I think that, I had the same question that Susan and Deb had, and the reason why I had it is because I had spoken with my oldest who's graduated from Franklin, and some of her friends, and they said that was a class that they wish that they had was just something to give them a little bit more of an edge when they graduate on how to juggle their finances and.
So to speak to that, right now, personal finance is an elective. So it's been here, but if, like, I'm thinking about your kiddos and.
I think that it would be really like something to push all kids to go to, even kids that struggle a little bit more, because it's real. When you get when you graduate high school, and even if you're going to college, you really need to know that stuff, and it's helpful.
We'll talk about it with the guidance counselors too, and admin team, because it is one of the courses that we suggest for the kids.
Yeah, I think that's great. I'm really glad that you're putting this out there now.
Yep.
Thank you, Christine. Delaney? Thank you, Delaney. Maureen?
I'm fine.
I am okay. All right, I'm running over on the program studies I'm good with. I will tell you on the privileges, thank you for what you and Tim have done. Tim was very enlightening in our conversation. I appreciate his input on that, so I'm good with both of those items. So, based upon that, I'll make a motion that we accept the program studies for the Franklin High School for the 2021-2022 school year. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Susan, I'm going to give you the second on it again. All right, is there any further discussion? Yeah, Susan had the second on that. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, if I could have a roll call vote, please.
Susan Hallett Cook?
Yes. Yes.
Deb Brown?
Yes.
Tim Dow?
Yes.
Maureen Opie?
Yes.
Delaney Courier?
Yes.
Christie Martin?
Yes.
A motion passes, program of studies is accepted. Are there any questions pertaining to the high school privilege program for 2021-2022? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to accept the Franklin High School privilege program for the 2021-2022 school year. Do I have a second? Whoa, Susan is on a roll tonight. Susan's got the second in. Do I have any?
Susan hasn't been able to make a meeting in so long, she feels guilty.
Do I have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, do I have one? Go ahead. We gotta move her down further so I can see her.
Okay, that's okay. I don't want to see me. You have on here something about personal electronic devices. What does that entail?
For privileges?
Yes, for privileges.
So, my admin team has, the school year looks a little bit different right now, but so we've had mass study hall. Right now, our mass study hall's in the library. But students who had privileges were allowed to listen to music on their cell phones if they had privileges and they were in study hall. Yeah. And it's kind of, the kids are pretty good about it now, but we want to make sure that they're using that time for academics. And cell phones, you can, they could watch movies on. There's so many different things they can do on them. So we try to make sure that we're monitoring them for that time. But if they have privileges and that means their grades are good, then they can use that time to listen to music if they want to.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, I need a roll call vote, please.
Susan Hallett Cook?
Yes.
Deb Brown?
Yes.
Tim Dow?
Yes.
Maureen Opie?
Yes.
Delaney Courier?
Yes.
Christie Martin?
Yes.
That motion passes. The Franklin High School's privileges program for 2021-2022 is accepted.
Thank you. Okay, I have 4 nominations tonight. The first nomination is Adriana Brown, ESOL teacher, for the remainder of this year and for next year. I don't know if you want to do these all together?
If we would, because they're all for
Yep.
the next year, so yeah.
Except for this first one, was for this year and next year.
Yep.
Mary Brown, FMS art teacher for next year. Matthew Berger, elementary teacher next year. And Eileen Bacon, speech language pathologist.
So I'll be looking for a motion. Go ahead, Deb.
So moved.
So moved by Deb.
Nominations as recommended by the superintendent.
Thank you, Deb. So motion. Just killing. So motion's been made by Deb to accept the nominations as was presented by the superintendent. And very quickly, it was seconded by Susan Hallett Cook. Do I have any discussion? Seeing none, if I could have a roll call vote, please.
Susan Hallett Cook?
Yes.
Deb Brown?
Yes.
Tim Dow?
Yes.
Maureen Opie?
Yes.
Delaney Courier?
Yes.
And Christie Martin?
Yes.
The motion is accepted and the nominations are accepted.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to give you a brief summer school planning update. So we are looking at summer school programming at all 3 schools. We're looking at 6 weeks of the summer, starting June 28th, going through August 5th. We are going to be providing busing for the summer school planning at all 3 schools, because we'll be delivering food with the buses already anyways. We are in the recruitment stage right now of getting students, and we are also recruiting staff at this point as well. We will have specifics for you at the June meeting of how many students we've been able to recruit and how many staff members we have. But we typically do 4 weeks, but we're doing 6 weeks this year because we're trying to make up for learning loss. And, we want to have as robust a program as we can, this summer and probably for the next 3 summers, trying to come back from the pandemic. So I just want to give you that update. I don't need any motions on that at this point. If there's any questions, though, I could take them. Okay. I also wanted to tell you that we did get a second foreign exchange student, a female student from Germany who's going to be a junior, so we're excited about that. That decision that you made last month to say okay to the up to 5 students is working, so we already landed a second student for next year, so we're excited about that. Next up is the 21-22 school budget approval. We need a new approval because of some funds that came to us that we were unaware of before the city council presentation. Jefferson can update us on that. It's still a little bit up in the air, I think, as to how much we're going to be receiving.
Okay, so I believe after the last board meeting in April, we got notified by the city finance director that we were actually going to be getting an increase to the tax allocation due to pickups. That increased our budget an allocation from the local tax rate of $65,107 additional dollars, which is very nice. So I subsequently rebudgeted based on that number. The total amount came to $18,558,966 for our budget. The difference I added to an unanticipated special education out of district costs because there's a lot of potential for that. And then the thought process was after we were presented to the city council on May 5th, I believe it was, we were going to bring it back to the board tonight for final approval. However, I was approached by the finance director after that presentation to the city council that that number is going to probably change due to the assessor's office having new information regarding assessment of the utilities. So she has given me since then a worst case scenario number, which is only $12,200 less than the number she gave me prior to that. The worst case scenario would be bring the budget now to $18,546,761. Difference coming from, again, unanticipated special education out of district costs. What I had hoped to do tonight, since I don't actually have the concrete number yet, somewhere going to between $12,200 less than that amount or less, I would like to ask the board to approve the budget pending the final number that I received from the city and any difference being made up in the general budget from the unanticipated out-of-district costs for special education. I believe that's possible to do that, as I don't have a specific number, but it's in between the 2 numbers I just gave you.
So I guess the question I have for you is, what is the number that you want us to approve?
Well, that's the thing.
So between what?
Well, that's the thing is I don't know what that number is going to be eventually. So I don't know if the board can say that if it's going to be that they'll approve a number that'll show up in between those 2 numbers that I just gave you.
So between the 8. So what we originally approved, which is the 18.
So the high amount was $18,558,966, which is $65,107 more than what I presented at the April board meeting.
Right.
And then the worst case scenario is $18,546,761, which is about $12,200 less.
Okay.
But that's the minimum of what our budget could be based on information that I have from the city at this point. So it'll be fall in or between those 2 numbers.
I think my recommendation is that you approve up to the 12,000 total. I mean, these are all revenue projections anyways. So you approve your budget up to the total, and then if it comes down, it comes down. It's no different than if revenues fall short with the budget that we projected. So I think if we just have them, Jefferson, approve up, up to the top number.
Okay.
Yeah, and then obviously we track revenues as we go, but like I said, these revenues are all estimates anyways. So let's just approve it at the top number, and then when it comes back lower than that, we'll report that to you. And be careful about, you know, how we track revenues. I think that's probably the cleanest way to do it at this point.
Didn't the board already approve the 18,558,966?
No.
No.
What
because we
number
didn't
do
have
we-
that number
We
yet.
didn't know that.
What
at the
number
time.
did we
The number
approved a budget?
Was,
We approved an original budget
yeah,
that we brought to the city council.
Yeah, but it didn't include this money.
No, I know it didn't.
Yeah.
well, the one we brought to the city council actually included this higher number that I gave you,
Okay,
because we didn't have it at that time, because I got that new number on April 20th.
okay.
The original number that the board had received was 18,493,859.
So that's,
And that was on the April board meeting.
so that's already been approved for that amount?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're looking for us to approve the 18,546,761? Is that the number you want to approve now?
Do you want to do that one, or do you want to do the higher number?
I want to do the higher one.
The
Yep.
18,558?
18,558.
Yeah,
966,
Yes.
that's what you want?
yeah.
All right. So we're all on the same thing here. So originally, this board on April 11th approved a budget of $18,493,859. That's what the original budget was. Jefferson got some other numbers in of 65,107. Looks like there's gonna be a reduction in that number. He's looking, so the new number we're looking to approve for a budget, and I'll make the motion for us so we can move on with it. And I think it's pretty easy now, is I'll make a motion that the Franklin School District, Franklin School Board, pass a budget of $18,558,966.
Second.
Second by Deb. Is there any further discussion? All right, good. So I need a roll call vote.
Susan Hallett Cook,
Yes.
Deb Brown,
Yes.
Tim Dow,
Yes.
Maureen Obie,
Yes.
Delaney Currier,
Yes.
Christy Martin.
Yes.
Okay, our motion passes, and the budget is now set at $18,558,966. You good, Jefferson?
Sounds good to me.
Thank you. All right.
Private jets now.
Next up is I wanted to do a quick manufacturing update. So, you know, we have the 3 courses here at Franklin High School that we've been doing with Lakes Region Community College. That's the machine tool math, the blueprint reading, and then next year will be the SolidWorks CAD course. We've had several discussions with Winnisquam School District. They are considering a bond in the next year or two to renovate the Ag Center and to create a larger program, do an addition. And they want to partner with us in bringing this manufacturing program perhaps to the region. So we're at the stage where this is getting a little more serious than just talk. So what they're looking at this point, and there's no commitment yet, I just want to update you where we're at, is that Franklin would potentially be offering these 3 courses to students in the Lakes region, and that we would be contracting with the Winnisquam School District down the road to provide these courses through their CTE center. And then all the kids would then funnel into the Winnisquam program to complete the rest of this manufacturing program. So there's a lot of good reasons why that would be wonderful for us. You know, in terms of having other kids coming into our schools to take these courses. We would, at some point, need to negotiate with the Winnisquam School District the financials around that and what we would expect from them to provide those services. Right now, we're partnered with Lakes Region to do this, and we're looking at them as running START courses. So, you know, it's going to be an interesting run the next 2 years to see how some of these things play out. and how maybe Lakes Region lets this go to us, and how we perhaps let it go then into the Winnisquam CTE program. I don't want to play our cards too early on any of this, because Winnisquam's looking at a bond to have to do any of this work, and that bond is still a year or two out, and we know bonds don't always pass. So I just want to let the board know that down the road here, we might be having some more detailed discussions about putting some agreements in place, probably with the Winnisquam School District, if that's the direction we go in. But I didn't want to get too far down the road without having the board have a chance to know what's happening at this point. Right now, Winnisquam's intentions are to move forward with this, and for potentially down the road have Franklin provide this service to not just the Winnisquam kids, but all 8 schools in the region for those 3 classes. So I thought it was important enough to put out to you that that's kind of where we're at this point, but nothing has to happen yet. But I can take any questions you have.
You're good, Dan.
You guys good? Everybody good? I'll keep you posted on that. I need the board to authorize Tim to sign off on the 2021-2022 general assurances. These are forms we fill out every year for federal grants. Tim and I are required to initial every page and sign off on them, and then Jefferson has to post them on the website and submit them to the Department of Education. It's basically something we do every year, but the board has to authorize us to do that. So I'm asking for your authorization.
We need someone to make the motion to let me sign these forms.
I will make the motion to allow Tim to sign the forms as presented by the superintendent.
Okay, I have a second. Who seconded? Maureen seconded. Okay, thank you, Maureen. Any discussion on it? Seeing no discussion, if I could have a roll call vote.
Susan Hallett Cook,
Yes?
Deb Brown,
Deb?
Yes?
Okay.
Tim Dow,
Yes.
Maureen Opie. Yes. Elaine Currier,
Yes.
and Christine Martin. Yes.
Okay, our June board meeting is the same night as the 8th grade graduation. So Tim and I obviously need to be at the 8th grade graduation, so I'm recommending we move our June meeting to June 14th, which is the Monday preceding the 21st.
Okay, I'll make the motion that the Franklin School Board June meeting will be on June 14th.
Second?
Second by Susan. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, if we could have a roll call vote.
Susan Hallett Cook,
Yes?
Deb Brown,
Yes?
Tim Dow,
Yes?
Maureen Opie,
Yes.
Elaine Currier,
Yes.
and Christine Martin. Yes.
Dan, can I just ask that that gets put out tomorrow onto our website to the families?
Yep, sure.
Just so that gives everybody plenty of time to know that our school board's a week earlier.
That and the change of start time.
Yep.
I'll get on to
Thank you, Dan.
tomorrow. Okay, and then the last item I have is, we have an RFP that Jefferson spoke about with the middle school entryway. That RFP is out and due back to us on the 18th of June, which obviously is after our June meeting. So depending on what comes back to us, we'll probably have to have a special meeting with the board to get together to review these bids. Typically, we would have a finance meeting first for the finance committee to take a look at it, and then have the board come in and take a look at the bids as well. So I guess I'm looking to see if we can get that scheduled while we're all here right now, because I know summertime is very difficult for any of us to get together. For the new board members, we do not typically meet in July for a July meeting. So after our June 14th meeting, typically, we wouldn't see each other again until the end of August, until that August meeting date. So I'm guessing that the finance committee would probably try to get together the week of the 21st or the 25th of June to take a look at this. I don't know everybody's availability. What does the week of July 4th to the 10th look like for everybody?
I will be gone, I'll be back on the July 6th. I won't be here the 4th or the 5th. I'm going camping those weekdays.
You're out of town the whole week, Delaney? And I'm out of town the next week.
Squeeze it in at the end of June.
What does everybody look like? What is June, the end of June. I'm away at a superintendent's conference the 28th, 29th, and 30th. Thursday the 1st would work, if anyone's around Thursday the 1st. And this is just for the board members, Jefferson, myself, and Jewel. We wouldn't need the principals in any of this.
I can do the 1st.
July 1 look like it might work for people?
I will not be here, Dan, but then
Jewel?
you can go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can make July 1 work.
July 1, Tim?
We could
Deb
do it
says
on
yes.
Zoom, right?
We could do it by
Unless
Zoom?
you Zoom, I can Zoom in, I'll just.
People
be in
could
New York.
zoom in too, yeah. We can definitely
Zoom
zoom.
is fine.
You'll do it on a Zoom for the 1st, okay? Delaney, will 1st work for you even if we did it by Zoom? Okay, so Christie?
Yep.
Susan?
Yes.
And it'll just be a short, I don't.
Be that one item, really, that's all.
Yeah, it'll be
we'll
only
need.
that one item, then should be a very quick one. We'll set it up, either Dan or Jefferson will set it up for Zoom, so, but, you can't make it to that one, if you want to Zoom in, at least you'll be able to see the numbers and everything.
What
6
what
o'clock.
time are you thinking?
6 o'clock?
I'm thinking 6 o'clock on July 1.
Can we do it earlier, if it's just a short meeting?
What's the early, how early can anybody else do it? Any time works for me.
I'm thinking 5:30.
Does 5:30 work for people? Christie, is that too early for you, or
I think I'll be okay if I can zoom in.
you can Zoom?
Is this a Thursday?
It's a Thursday, Delaney, does that work?
Yeah.
So we want to change it to 5:30?
5:30. Susan, 5:30 okay?
As long as I can Zoom, yep.
You can Zoom. We'll make sure everybody who wants to Zoom can Zoom in.
All right, so we'll do a special school board meeting on July 1st at 5:30 to look at the bids.
Okay.
Perfect, thank you.
Are there any questions for Superintendent Legallo on his updated report? All right, excellent. All right, we're going to move on to agenda item 10, which is our our reports from our administrators. We'll start with our curriculum report with Jewel. I know all of you have received all the principals and Jewel's reports, so I know they're going to keep it very brief for me.
Yep. Everything that I had to share is in there. Obviously, the biggest thing to highlight is the planning for summer PD work, which will be 2 weeks in August. So currently, there are about 32 staff district-wide who signed up for that. So that would be the thing I would really want to draw people's attention to. And then, obviously, our Portrait of a Graduate work. I know that Carissa's been sitting in on the meeting tonight, and we have some special time with the board to go over Portrait of a Graduate. She did share with me tonight the start of our Paul Smith project that we did, where the kids at Paul Smith, and I will say every single solitary student in that entire building did a cap about what they hoped to be, and she's made this wonderful display. But just some of the things the kids said: I want to be a fisherman, I want to be a mad scientist, I want to be a rainbow hunter. And my hope is that, those types of dreams stay with these kids forever, because those are the types of things we want to nurture and not crush along the way, because they're amazing. And there's a whole lot more, but so Portrait of a Graduate is coming along, and we have a lot of great stuff to share about that. And then obviously, outside of my curriculum report, I think you'd have to be blind to not see the inundating press I've been doing for Sweeney Todd recently. There's a whole mini-series that's been going out on the website. The YouTube promo video went out today. So if you've missed any of that, just log on to the website, because it is all there on all 4 pages. Because these kids are tremendous and have worked very hard to do this in the midst of COVID. That's it.
Any questions for Jewel?
Yeah, I have one, Jewel. Under the website on your communications.
Yep.
There's such a huge jump. Is that multiple months?
That's March to May, so it is 2 months, Deb. However,
Okay.
I will say, as I shared with admin today, the thing you have to be careful with is the website viewing and user activity. If you go to the Google Analytics page, which is what I use to gather that data, You're talking about people who touch on our website all across the entire world, and I would not say some of them are doing it for the right reasons. So it's just anytime someone hits view on our website or uses it, it logs that on Google Analytics. The one we really want to pay attention to are our followers, because those are the people that are using it probably religiously and for the right reasons. Okay?
Any other questions for Jewel? All right. Thank you, Jewel. Good luck
Thank you.
this weekend.
It's out of my hands now, so.
Jewel, there's the play this weekend, so good luck with that. It's nice to see the theater back open. All right, and we're going to move on now to our special education report with Rebecca. So I'll turn it over to Rebecca.
All right, good evening, everyone. So I know you've all had a chance to view the report. I would say my biggest push right now is getting ESY up and going with our 6-week program. So we're in the process of solidifying staff for the program, paraeducator support, transportation, just getting a real head count of all the families or kiddos that will be attending. So that's really my big push right now. I did put in my report that similar to a model that we have at Paul Smith with an ABA-BCBA combo who supports a lot of our autistic and behavioral kids, will be instituting that at the middle school next year. I have 3 children currently slated for that level of support, 2 of which are coming back from Spalding Youth Center. So that's really exciting, and I'm excited to see that in action. The other piece is, of course, prepping for Indicator 13, which is upcoming in the fall. So I'm already working with the DOE to get some, again, some preemptive trainings in place. We've already done 1, but they're going to do more of an on-site support. As we wrap up the year, I'm looking towards what I can focus on this summer to make things a little bit better for next year. And my 2 big pushes are offering kind of a case manager boot camp for newer case managers and ones that come on who may be seasoned but maybe aren't as familiar with some of the district practices, as well as, of course, state requirements. And then the other focus I would like to work on is, and I'm working with the administrative team to set up a team to do this, is to really get a tiered pre-referral student support system in place that's district-wide. So building to building, we're all following the same protocol for supporting students before they're referred to special education. And it does happen in buildings. I don't want to take away from that. But what I want it to be is just synthesized. Documents that we're using are all the same, and we're all following the same protocol. So I'm already looking ahead. I have to say it's been I can't believe we're already wrapping up the school year. I'm excited and excited for summer. So that's it.
Excellent. Thank you, Rebecca. Are there any questions for Rebecca? All right. Thank you, Rebecca.
You're welcome.
All right. And now we're going to move on to our Paul Smith School report with Sue Blair.
Good evening, everyone. Again, I'll just highlight a couple of things in my report. I first want to thank Steve Donahue. So we came back from April vacation, and on our flagpole was a brand new state flag. Steve is a Cub Scout leader here in the town, and he's always paying very close attention to our flags. And so I want to make sure I thank him for that flag. Also, Dan introduced Matthew Berger as a new teacher for us for next year, but he's actually working with us this year as a co-teacher in the 3rd grade team. He is a member of UNH and will be graduating in July, but he is finishing his residency with us at Paul Smith School. So it's really nice for him to be able to have a few weeks with us and get his feet wet and get to know the teachers before he actually starts as a teacher with us in the fall. I mentioned about our transition back to school, which has been nothing but fun. The kids are just absolutely delighted to be at school. They come in every day with smiles on their faces. A lot of them want to run into the school, but they know they're not supposed to run. But it has been just a wonderful month of having our kids back in our school. Ken already mentioned our transition with Franklin Middle School for our 3rd grade students. So we're working with the school counselors, the social workers, and the teachers at Franklin